All right, all right, all right. All right, all right, all right. All right, all right, all right. You ready to go live? How about we go live in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Take a deep breath. Hold it for 3, 2, 1, and command yourself to relax. Good magic. Welcome back, everyone. I hope you're doing well today. It is Wednesday morning here in the Central Kingdom of the Celestial Dragon on September 3rd, 2025. Broadcasting to you from Twilight Zone, Old Peking, far behind the bamboo firewall. Whoever you are, wherever you are, whenever you may be receiving this transmission, welcome. Let's do it all again, like Finnegan. So if you've got a yen to expand your ken, then let's get zen. You and me, baby, getting it done. Make sure you hit the like button and subscribe if it's your first time. Don't let it be your last time. You might want to check me out at buymeacoffee.com/Frank Monday. Pull a something in the tip jar, all right? That'll put the lead in my pencil. Hope y'all good-looking sex people are doing all right out there in Happy Land tonight. If you are in the ideas room, as always, where are you tuning in from, beloved? I always like to know who's listening, where they're at, and when it is. If anyone would like to join the panel today, just drop me a line here in the chat, and I'll pop the link in there for you. It is sometimes better to provide that link backstage at the Lunar Light Entertainment Discord. So if you are a member of the Discord, I've already dropped it in there, so you get pre-show access. So whenever that link goes live in the Discord, you can jump backstage with me and get ready for the show, right? That's good fun in the green room, as it were, right? I like to schedule and plan things a little bit. Today we're going to be looking at Zhuangzi and being a little more like Zhuangzi, maybe, huh? Everybody says, what would Jesus do? But I always ask, what would Lao Tzu do, baby? What's up, y'all? You don't have to limit yourself in how you model your behaviors, right? As Aristotle said, excellence isn't an accident. It's a matter of perfected practice. So let's be excellent. Excellent together, me and you and the other guy. All right, we don't always have to listen to everything. Just because I quote Aristotle doesn't mean I'm Aristotelian or an aristocrat. Everybody knows that good Hollywood scam, right? Good God, the dirty old aristocrats. So funny. Anyway, it is what it is. I'm gonna go ahead and roll the intro, guys. And so it takes about 2 minutes, and it gives you a little taste of what Frank Monday is all about, right? First, we got to roll back that music a little bit, though, all right? I think that'll work right there. Just keep it on so I don't forget about it.
Frank Monday Productions coming at ya.
Okay, guys, our next comedian is a bit of a treat, to be honest. It is a bit of a treat. He's been away for 3 years. He is now back from the dead. Well, America. Give a big round of applause for Frank Monday.
Thank you, Nick. Appreciate that shit. Nick's a good man. I know what that's like, being a good man. It's tough in a fucking city like this, though. You know, nobody gives a fuck. They're like, God damn, that's some crazy shit. Motherfucker wearing high heels and shit. Looking good too, huh? Yeah, you guys like that. That's all right. It's okay to fall down occasionally. I do that sometimes. All right, being back in the G is pretty fucking nerve-wracking. You know, performing for 4 minutes straight. The only other time I get this anxious when I gotta perform for 4 minutes straight is when I gotta make love to my wife.
Onion ring. Yeah, they're all right.
Hey, be watching for the Star Wars blog Rebellion coming out in December. You'll love it. It's follow-up to the award-winning Generations. Oh yeah. There you go, Frank.
Here's my burger. All right. There it is there. Frank Monday. Coming at you once again like Finnegan. Let's get zen, baby. All right, so let me see if this is going to work. Might have to remove that. No, it looks good. All right. So today we're going to be talking about That Was Then and This Is Now. Our little play on the That Was Then and This Is Now. Man, they're really flying those choppers in low today. Let me see if I can see it out my window. Sounds like it's coming right in at a trajectory that'll pass. Sometimes the Doppler effect is a little bit misleading, though. So due to the fact that the sound's all echoing off of the buildings, you won't... Oh, man, I should be at my other apartment. Then I'd really have a good view of the sky. That apartment is going to be nice, guys. I'm looking forward to getting into it with you. And seeing how that works out. Because it's a beautiful thing, man, to have a little space to move around in. Set shit up. Set up some training zones, right? Exercise zone, food zone, live streaming zone. You need space for that shit. Oh, you do. So this is what we're going to be looking at today, guys. I'm very excited to bring it to you. And we're going to be talking about the story of Zhuangzi and the Happy Fish. Before we do that, though, I kind of want to set the scene a little bit. We've been covering some Alan Watts and Carl Jung and some of the Chinese big shots from back in the day, Lao Tzu, Zhuangzi, Gohong, these types of fellas. And I always like to kind of set the scene with one of my favorites. Master Magician and Doctor Sir Israel Regardie of the Hermetic Brotherhood of the Golden Dawn, right? The Hermetic Fraternity, the Hermetic Order, as it were. And the reading of the Invocation of Tahuti. Before we do that, though, adoration to Abraxas. Holy art thou, Lord of the universe, the vast and the mighty one, creator of heaven and earth, maker of all things visible and invisible, master of both the light and the darkness. He who was, is, and always shall be. We adore thee and we invoke thee. Send us one of your divine spiritual agents, our holy guardian angel, to protect and guide us through the innumerable snares of the earthly sphere and that beautiful cleansing wind to disperse all negativity and endless human opinion. Teach us those secret things which we must know for the completion of the great work and the glory of thine ineffable name, Adonai. So it is commanded and confirmed. So mote it be. Amen. Remember, O neophyte, in all that you do, call upon the name of the Lord thy God. Do not attempt to think, speak, or do anything without his consent and approbation. I appreciate y'all good looking sexy people holding down the fort. And yeah, with no further ado, Israel Regardi. Invocation of Tahuti.
Invocation of Thoth. Procul, O procul esti profani, or lasti ompeda. In the name of the mighty and terrible one, I proclaim that I have banished the shells unto their habitations. I invoke Tahuti, the Lord of wisdom and of utterance, the God that cometh forth from the veil. O thou majesty of the Godhead, wisdom-crowned Tahuti, Lord of the gates of the universe, thee I invoke. O thou of the ivy's head, thee I invoke. Thou who wieldest the wand of double power, thee I invoke. Thou who bearest in thy left hand the rose and cross of light and life, thee I invoke. Thou whose head is as an emerald, and thy nemes as the night sky blue, thee I invoke. Thou whose skin is of flaming orange as though it burned in a furnace, thee I invoke. Behold, I am yesterday, today, and the brother of tomorrow. I am born again and again. Mine is the unseen force whereof the gods are sprung, which is as life unto the dwellers in the watchtowers of the universe. I am the charioteer of the east, lord of the past and of the future. I see by mine own inward light, Lord of resurrection, who cometh forth from the dusk, and my birth is from the house of death. O ye two divine hawks upon your pinnacles, who keep watch over the universe, ye who company the bier to the house of rest, who pilot the ship of wrong, ever advancing onwards the heights of heaven, Lord of the shrine which standeth in the center of the earth. Behold, he is in me, and I in him. Mine is the radiance wherein Ptah floateth over the firmament. I travel upon high. I tread upon the firmament of new. I raise up flashing flame with the lightning of mine eye, ever rushing on in the splendor of the daily glorified Ra, giving my life to the dwellers of earth. If I say, come up upon the mountains, the celestial waters shall flow at my word. For I am Ra incarnate, Kefra, created in the flesh. I am the eidolon of my father Tamu, Lord of the city of the sun. The God who commands is in my mouth. The God of wisdom is in my heart. My tongue is the sanctuary of truth, and a guard sitteth upon my lips. My word is accomplished every day, and the desire of my heart realizes itself as that of Ptah when he createth his works. I am eternal, therefore all things are as my designs, therefore do all things obey my word. Therefore do thou come forth unto me from thine abode in the silence, unutterable wisdom, or light, or power. So, Hermes, Mercury, Odin, by whatever name I call thee, thou art still nameless to eternity. Come thou forth, I say, and aid and guard me in this work of art. Thou, star of the east, that didst conduct the Magi, thou art the same all present in heaven and in hell. Thou that vibratest between the light and the darkness, rising, descending, changing ever, yet ever the same. The sun is thy father, thy mother the moon. The wind hath borne thee in its bosom, and earth hath ever nourished the changeless godhead of thy youth. Come thou forth, I say, come thou forth, and make all spirits subject unto me, so that every spirit of the firmament and of the ether, upon the earth and under the earth, on dry land and in the water, of whirling air and of rushing fire, and every spell and scourge of God the vast one may be obedient unto me.
Hail unto thee who art raw in thy rising, even unto thee who art raw in thy strength, who travellest over the heavens at the uprising of the sun. Tahuti standeth in his splendor at the prow, and Ra-Hor abideth at the helm. Hail unto thee from the abodes of the night. Remember, O neophyte, goodness alone is power, silence is strength. Will regaineth omnipotence, and love lieth at the foundation. Ever going forward, whenever we're going forward, and ever going forward, I like to think of people who are doing good work here on the old boob tubes. So I always like to give a little shout out and mention to one of my favorite internet chatter guys, Jack Talcott. He has a show called here on YouTube called Chats with Jack. Pretty much a daily thing, goes for about an hour and a half, 2 hours, something like that, pretty much every day. If you need some guidance, friend, like life counseling type stuff, like if you're interested in getting in closer connection with God, and I think that's important, and I think a lot of people are interested in that, you could definitely check out Jack. He's got an open platform. You can step right up, express your concerns, and he can provide you with guidance back toward the light, the light of living in the presence of God. And his main central theme is choose love and live without fear. Yeah, so he's out there getting it, trying to end war and state secrets. So you might like to join him on his daily show. Good fun. I've always found value in it, and life, light, and magic. Another person I really like a lot is TML, and he's actually concurrently live with me. I forgot that he goes live on, I think it's Tuesday and Thursday nights. So TML, The Machine Lies 9534 here on YouTube, at The Machine Lies 9534. You can definitely check him out. He's live right now, I imagine. He's got a really good show where he talks about philosophy, history, religion, the occult, and what it means today, and the rise of the technocracy, right? And how we can adapt to that one, how we can strategize to try to survive as human entities in this new emerging mechanos, right? This technologically ruled domain. So get on over there and check that out. In fact, I'll give you the short sample blurb that I made for his thing after an impromptu. I asked him to give me the 60-second elevator pitch, and I thought it was worth jotting down and recording. So have a look at it here. TML, The Machine Lies.
Eyes of the machine on the machine that lies. Basically, on the stream, The Machine Lies, we're taking a very critical look at technology. So the reason we're doing that is because we're looking at the medium that is used to communicate, right, and transmit information, right? We don't think that any form of mediation is neutral, right, but it's laden with values. And so I think that the well has been polluted by technology. So obviously we take a critical look at technology, right? Okay, we're looking at different concepts in relation to technology, right? In terms of philosophy, right? And in terms of religion. Now, that is one of the main purposes of the show, is that we really look at where technology and religion, science, and spirituality, where those things intersect, right? Because there's a crisis of the modern world in which there's a majority of the modern world is religious people. Their mindset is secular, and the means they employ are secular. We're living in a post-liberal, post-human, post-geological age, right? So we're talking about the death of liberalism, the rise of the world technological system. Now, we do think that, okay, there's a considerable level of, externalization of the ego, okay, and mediation of ourselves through the means we employ. So obviously, we shape tools, but the tools we use shape us, right? So that's one of the main things we're trying to get across on the show, is how technology changes human psychology. If you question the means you employ and what the objective factors of power are in our age, right, then that's the most important question you can ask. Right, that's the most critical stance you could actually take, right? Like, most people don't question, how or what means they use to question, to ask the question itself, right? So we're actually taking a critical look at technology, right, as a primary form of communication, as an objective factor of power in our age, right? And we think that basically we're assuming that a lot of the stuff that we see through this medium is totally made up, right, fabricated, and that is based on the fact that it is artifice. It's produced by a machine, right? So we talk about the lies of the machine on the machine.
Yeah, there it is there. Good magic. Talk about the lies of the machine on the machine that lies. Good stuff. So, yeah, like I said, I think he's live right now, which I'd be over there actually catching his show if I'd have remembered that he goes live on American time Tuesdays and Thursday nights, which for me is actually like Wednesday and Friday morning, right? So there's that dimensional shift there into the abodes of Dreamland for many of you. So go ahead and get at it. Another one I like a lot that I've been promoting here on the channel is a YouTube feller named Dweller of the Dark. He's doing good magic, making music, and doing dynamite audio renditions of all the old great horror classics, right? Gothic horror, cosmic horror, all that stuff that predated the debauchery of the mind through modern film, right? So the writers of the 19th and 20th century, definitely check those out. And here's a little music production he did that I like a lot, and seems to kind of put the pep in my step, the jelly in my donut, and the lead in my pencil. So with no further ado, enjoy a little Dweller of the Dark, guys. 2-minute music break.
Eagles flying high, cats on the prowl, devils in your bed, their whispers so loud, witches on my heels, so they'll steal, running in the dark, truth they conceal, blood on the walls, splattering a sink. God can't help the dead, no time to think. Hounds howl at night, shadows in the light, fear in every breath, eyes wide with fright. Cards dealt by fate, no way to escape. Threads getting tight, can't see the daylight. Blood on the walls, splattering a sink. God can't help the dead, no time to think. Cards dealt by fate, no way to escape. thread's getting tight. Can't see the daylight, but on the walls, spattering a sink. God can't help the dead, no time to think.
All right. Yeah, what a thing, huh? Yeah, wonderful to be able to share that with you, Wayfarer. I'm glad you're here today. It's kind of a jam little tune that puts the pep in my step, and I think you might find some light in it as well. Check him out at Dweller of the Dark here on YouTube and do some good magic, right? Because why are we even doing it at all, right? Why even get involved? Because the daily torture of the commonplace, right? We've got to overcome and rise above mediocrity and the prosaic, right? The prosy attributes of life, the vicissitudes that kind of take the jelly out of your donut sometimes, right? And so just keep on keeping on with all that good old good magic, right? Yep, buymeacoffee.com/Frank Monday. Put a little something in the tip jar. That certainly helps out the show, guys. Makes it a way that I can purchase new equipment and sink a little extra love into it, right? Sink a little extra, something, a little something extra. Yeah, good magic. And so we're going to be getting into that right now, right? We made a little PDF for the show. So with no further ado, Frank Monday coming at you with That Was Zen and This Is Tao. Again, a reminder, if you'd like to join the show, just let me know. And I'm dropping the link in now. Oops. Went around, messed around, and fucked it up. That's okay. Let's see if it'll come back up. No, it won't. How interesting. I wonder what I'm going to have to do to bring the address back up. I might need to refresh the page. Streams and recordings, StreamYard. Where are you, StreamYard? All right, let me try to navigate away from it and come back. Maybe that, yeah, that did it. That's good magic right there. Okay. I'll pop it in there for you, Wayfarer. Just in case you're out there in Happy Land and you're thinking, hey, I'd like to hang out and talk to Frank Monday about some of these ideas. That sounds kind of fun. Okay, so this idea, this saying kind of came about. I heard it at least when I was a young man in Southern California. I think I was in my early 20s at this point. And yeah, had to have been. And I was trying to pursue and take a job with Master Ni Huaqing of Yosan University, and I wanted to be his Daniel-san to his Mr. Miyagi. And so I was looking for ways to do that. I've been reading his books for about 5 or 6 years already, and really loved Taoism and Kung Fu and Chinese culture. And so I sought out a high-level Taoist wizard to apprentice myself to, and I was successful in doing that, believe it or not. In fact, every master magician or wizard that I've sought out to meet that appeared in the public sphere, I was able to ultimately approach and see and interact with on some level, right? So I got initiated by Poke Run-In into the Ordo Templi Astarte. I got to hang out with Master Ni for a while, a couple of years, man. That was really good magic. And so a blessed thing, a beloved thing. Who else did I cross paths? A couple of other greats, but yeah, those are the two main ones in my mind, right? So with that said, it means that I've been looking at these ideas for a long, long time. And does that mean I'm going to know them any better than you? Maybe not. Probably not. Some of these young guys out there, scholars getting it, and currently studying, all of my study. I've retired from a lot of it. I'm still a daily student of, wisdom and life. And here I am even reviewing it, right? Pretty much reviewing the same ideas and things for the last 30, 40 years now. And I like them a lot. And I thought I'd share some of them with you. So Wayfarer, we're going to be looking at Zhuangzi. Let me see if I can drop some of this accoutrement. Yeah, that looks good from the stage there. And we're the name of this transmission is called Be Like Zhuangzi. So we're going to be looking at Zhuangzi. And just one story, really. A really funny little quippy story that was in the thumbnail if you saw it. 遇的快乐 what is it? 在睡中 身在睡中 快乐哦 no 快乐游泳在水中甚 whatever fuck now I've forgotten. I'm gonna have to review that poem. There's a poem that directly expresses this sentiment, and I seem to have misplaced it in my mind. That's okay. Maybe I haven't reviewed it in a while, but it's one that I've been reviewing for the last 30 years now. Let's see, how long has it been since I learned that poem? That's probably one of the first Chinese poems I learned. I didn't even know what it was at the time. I just looked at the calligraphy and started writing it down because it was on a beautiful like Chinese scroll with fish on it. And but the Chinese have a clever way of condensing ancient wisdom into 4 character expressions, right? Like birds of a feather flock together. Well, this one says fish attain happiness. And so Zhuangzi says fish are happy. But it's a famous story, you know, that explores the limits of human knowledge and empathy rather than a literal claim about fish consciousness. And though some may argue in a different direction than that, obviously, right? And as philosophical inquirers, we want to think on things with a multi-model approach of critical thinking, right? So we view it through many lenses. And we think, okay, what if it was about fish consciousness, right? What if it was about economics? How else can it be applied, right? So on and so forth. So you get the idea. In the story, Zhuangzi sees fish swimming freely and declares they are happy, right? And it leads to a debate with his friend Huizi, who I always thought was Confucius, but it says he's a Confucian scholar, right? So Huizi, this Confucianist character, his friend, in fact, right? It questions how Zhuangzi, not being a fish, can know the fish's joy. And the story uses this disagreement to delve deeper into philosophical questions about how we can truly know the minds of others and whether happiness is an inner state or an embodied activity, right? So it brings into question many paradoxes that we see playing out before us, right? The dichotomy of the prime material plane and the subject verbing on an object, so-called, right? And so which part of that stream of consciousness that Zhuangzi is experiencing is the happiness of the fish, right? And I guess he sees it as their joyful activity, and hell, they're even smiling. If you've ever seen fish, sometimes they can appear to be really, really getting at it and having fun, and you know they're healthy and they're in a good life, and they're mingling with their cohorts and stuff. So he can see this kind of happiness, right? Look at the fish were in a stagnant pond where they're croaking and dying. I think he certainly wouldn't identify them as being happy, right? So it says the story used the disagreement to delve further into what is the happiness in the minds of others, and whether this inner state and embodied activity, and whether shared experience of ease can foster understanding. Not exactly sure about that last part, but that's just one analytical interpolation of what's going on here with Zhuangzi. Let's get a little more into it and look at the details of the story. So we have on the one side the story and its core conflict, right? We've got the setup and the various parts of it. Make sure I formatted all that correctly. Good. And then on the other side, we've got the key philosophical interpretations and what's happening at a little bit of a deeper level as brought forward through analysis. So here's the setup. Zhuangzi and his friend are cruising down the river, cutting it up, yucking it up. He's probably talking about Confucianism, and this is a classic interplay of Confucian ethics with Taoist natural living, right? So the Taoist is more interested in spending his time among the mountains and vast, sublime environments where very few people tread, right? The high, lofty paths of mountains or the deep valleys and forests, deserts, whatever, right? In order to directly expose his mind to without God, in fact, right? The presence of God in the sublime. Yeah. So nature, vast natural landscapes. And then the Confucian scholar is more interested in the organized ways of society, architecture, learning, right? Agriculture. Whereas the Taoist lives a free life of like an unanchored ship tossed about on a turbulent sea of life, right? The Confucian scholar likes to seek safe harbor and moor his ship to the shore and go ashore and set up society and order society, right? So really the two differences between the architecture engineer side of the brain and the creative artist side of the brain, gardener artist, right? Analytical logic and reason balanced with feeling and intuition and empathy and those types of things, those softer attributes. I think I can drop that. That's kind of a concomitant here in the transmission. So give me a second, guys. Yeah, and I remind you, yes, do in fact check me out and buy me a coffee. All right. So they're cruising along, and Zhuangzi sees fish. This is Zhuangzi's observation, right? He sees fish swimming leisurely and declares, "Yu de kuai le," right? Or the joy of fish. This is the joy of fish. Or don't those, imagine the situation. They're just cruising along, and suddenly he brings something to attention in their immediate environment for this. And I believe here he's teaching the Confucian scholar a lesson, right? Look at this. Look at these fish. Look at these butterflies. Look at the flowers. Look at all of this sublime natural environment and its joy and thriving, right? And its plenitude and abundance that it produces. And it's a deeper underlying story of how Tao, the natural order, lets things just freer. There are some constraints, of course, right? Like pruning and guiding is definitely a way of the Tao. That's in fact what Tao means. It means to guide towards a more perfected state, right? But the other part of the mind, the over-analytical part, right, over-analyzes everything, may need to be balanced by that more empathetic side of the mind. So he does that by pointing his gaze towards nature. And this is all throughout Tao, right? Pointing at the moon, pointing at the natural environment, pointing at a landscape, and then giving some commentary. So this is the joy of faith. Huizi challenges him in this. The skeptic, the devil's advocate, if you play this role within your own mind, and says, what the hell do you know? Man, come on. What are you doing here? You telling me you're a fish? And that you can know the joy of fish, as it were? And Lao's is like, motherfucker, what you talking about, baby? Can't you just see the fish and everything around them? Like I said a moment ago, the birds and the bees and the flowers and the fish just thriving, going at it, thrashing against each other, swishing and swirling about, right? Zhuangzi's reply counters, "You're not me, motherfucker. How the fuck you know what I know, right? Why? How could you know that if I know the joy of fish or not?" So a bit of a touche here, right? A witty retort. And this really brings us to the twist of the thing, because then, let's examine that for a moment now, right? So this is the fact of the matter, that experiential evidence from the POV of the viewer cannot be known by anyone but themselves, right? And we can try to imagine that we have similar experiences and we're explaining things in a similar fashion, but there's no guarantee of that. Just because there's a worldwide consensus of people supposedly chiming in together on various ideas, that's no proof. That's hearsay. Even if you see it and hear it with your own eyes, it's still just relative and hearsay. So that means nobody else's POV is any better than your own. And in fact, I'd say that for the most part, yeah, you have to gather the average and get the consensus, right? But you should subject yourselves to time alone and in the wilderness of the mind and the wilderness of the realm as well. Definitely do that. I did a lot of that when I was young, man, seeking and moving out into oceans and forests and mountains and distant lands. But then you need to come back to, and I think for the most part, a clever balance between a more rural and even wild life with the opportunity to be among society, right, and the genteelness of polite people in civilized society. I think both are important. And the ideal would be get 6 months of both, right? At least 3 months in a rural setting each year. Oh, Fools and Tools here. Good to see you again. Much love to you. If you are interested in coming up and discussing some of these ideas, please waste no time. I've got the link in the chat here. And thank you for stopping by, beloved. Let's see, how far did we get into it? We got down to Zhuangzi. Okay, so here's the twist. It says, Zhuangzi then circles back to his original claim, saying, when you asked how I knew the joy of fish, it was because you already knew that I knew, right? So he says, how can you know the joy of fish? Because he states it as a fact, right? And he's like, well, maybe it is in fact true that the fish are experiencing great joy, and he can see this as well. He's not doubting it, he's just like, but you're not a fish. So, and you could tell the difference. They're not engaging in combat. They're not tearing each other apart, right? They're just, like I said a moment ago, in great joy. They're fat and happy and swimming about, making a fuss, probably eating some insects. You know what fish do. So it's a really good one, man. And it truly illustrates the Taoist mindset. And so that's why I kind of named this one, be like Zhuangzi, right? Zhuangzi's a wise guy. One of those old Chinese wise guys that's worth learning about and worth emulating, at least in my opinion. So the key philosophical interpretations here, they say, are knowledge and epistemology. The core philosophical problem is about other minds. Endless human opinion, skepticism, cynicism, sarcasm, right? All of those negatives that come up against us, the silly, surreptitious slitherings of the serpent in your ear, right? That's seductive, succinct tongue, whispering those S's, right? To deviate you from your truth. Can we truly know if a non-human being experiences happiness? And I don't think that's the thing here we're looking for. We're looking for, can you truly know that what you see and hear in others is objectively true, in fact, right? And it gets us into the whole mess of the thing, the whole Gordian knot, right? So embodied experience, one interpretation suggests that Zhuangzi's happiness is a recognition of the fish's happy activity, their leisurely swimming, rather than a claim about their subjective inner state. Yeah, so that's one way to look at it, certainly, right? One lens to look at it through is the embodied experience itself, and the way that Zhuangzi, upon seeing the fish, felt stimulated to say this, right? And he was happy. And so how can you separate the falling of the tree and its echo, right? The clapping of the hand and its sound and action, right? They're all integrated into one very sensory rich phenomenon, right? The clapping of hands, everything like that. So there's so much that goes into it. Like I said, once you're in Dreamland and you dip into the deeper realms of Dreamland, the inception, as it were, right? Like a single moment of a lucid, realer than real experience can be described from so many angles, from every single angle, from within and without, everything occurring, from the entire transition of inception to completion, the smells, the sounds, all of it. It's so sensory rich that it would take a lifetime of dissertation in any dialect to fully immerse the listener in one of these experiences. That's why Master Ni, when he talked about the Timeless Homeland, he said, don't talk about it too much with others, because you could get into hours and hours and hours of a description on a single eyelash of the thing, right? And so it shows that the closer you examine reality, the more it is apparent that it is a timeless experience, and it's so sensory rich that it's impossible for the aspirant, nearly impossible. In the mystic moment, you do actually experience it, like Zhuangzi is here with the happiness of the fish, but it's so sensory rich and so overpowering for most that it can't be easily put into words. Yeah, and we see that sentiment echoed throughout the Tao Te Ching. Let's get a little further down. I will check the chat. I haven't been paying attention, but we do. Yeah, we got Fools and Tools here. Thank you for being here, beloved. I just mentioned TML a moment ago, and I do realize that he's transmitting simultaneously to me. So if I get through this PDF within the hour, then I'm just going to head over there and hang out, and you guys can join me over there, because that's good magic, and he's always up to something fun, right? And looking deep at these ideas. I think he said he was going to talk about Shangzhou today, So right when I finish up here, it'll probably be about the time he's looking into Shangzhou. Maybe. That will work out lovely. We've only got a little more to go, all right? Let's see where it is here. Yeah, there it is there. Okay, so I left off with shared understanding. So the story can be seen as highlighting the idea that genuine understanding comes from shared experience and a common point of view rather than purely rational deduction. Yeah, so that makes sense to me. Does that make sense to you? I mean, how do you see it, Wayfarer? Can you find light in the words of the interpolation here? Yeah, it looks good. I think that we do strive to do this. We strive to fellowship and commiserate with our fellow human being and to establish things of a lasting nature through a collective vision, right? Sometimes this gets usurped by tyrannical individuals, and we need to reassert our own authority, as it were, in these matters, right? We can't let the naysay, well, you know, the naysay's gonna say nay, the hater's gonna hate, is what they do. It's their job by definition. The troll's gonna troll, right? So let those things be which are those things, and don't even give them second thought, right? Just keep the sewer in the sewer, and you can stay out of the sewer if you like. Occasionally you might need to go down there and purge the depths of it to get it flowing again if it gets too stagnant. Get a what is that called? What are those enemas they used to do back in Southern California during the whole vegetarian health craze? A colonics. Get yourself a coffee colonics, man. That might set you aright. A good massage and a coffee colonics, maybe some acupuncture or Tuina, moxibustion, any one of those great therapeutic light treatment. All right, all different kinds of shit. Deprivation. There's so many things available to you. If you're in civilization, you should certainly utilize those tools. Next up is the Taoist idea of ease or Wu Wei. So Wu Wei is the non-interfering, non-doing aspect of Tao that lets you go with the flow and follow the natural order, what they call the way of heaven. Right, the way of heaven is unerring in its precision of bringing the sun and the moon into play and the swirling of the stars. And so we call that the heavenly order. And as it descends down to earth, as above, so below, we should follow that order of swirling around central ideas like Polaris, right? And True North. So the story can be seen as Taoistes. The fish's effortless movement is seen as a metaphor for the philosophical state of ease and intellectual freedom that Zhuangzi valued, right? In comparison to the rigid scholastic approach of the Confucians. Yeah, cupping works, definitely. I would recommend if you have something that ails you, and in today's modern society, good God, you could get probably a tenth of your nutrition through Chinese medicine, and you'd probably be better off most of the time. Obviously, you want to go to a trained doctor of the Oriental arts of medicine to get a herbal prescription. But I turn to herbal prescriptions first. Sometimes they help the more sensitive quicker than, and in a better way than maybe Western medicine might. But yeah, that's just my opinion. Okay, so it says that it goes beyond anthropocentrism, in that some argue that the story is a critique of this, showing that Zhuangzi claims reflect a human-centered interpretation and doesn't necessarily grasp the actual experience of the fish. And I would discount that outright by saying when you're in the state of Tao, like flowing with nature, you directly jump into the head of the fish and can experience the life of the fish quite easily. You can jump into a bird and experience what a bird is experiencing, right? I've done this. I've experienced this. And you can actually, I won't go too far because I don't want to point out mystic powers and make people envious or desirous of those things, because they're not necessary. Just watching it play out in front of you is enough. You can experience it with a very similar approach. If you just quiet down, let the mud settle, you may in fact become a bird. Good fun, good magic. Yeah, so we'll move on. So here's a little bit of the way I interpret it. I think the truth, it would seem, is easier than one might first assume when we dive into the realm of Chinese Taoism. And it looks like I got a typo there. Fuck my eyes, man. They play games on me. Yeah, I did. I wrote a typo. There should not be a T in Taoism, but it says Taoist with an M. That's kind of funny, huh? So let's see how many times I do that. Make typos on my PPTs. That's all right. Roll with the punches. So, for example, Zen, a kind of Taoist Buddhism, has a famous equation for finding truth for the average everyday individual, right? So it doesn't have to be overly complicated because people love to complicate things, right? And so an easy way to think of it is the Zen method. It's a bit of a koan, right? It just answers, Zen is very straightforward. You might like the study of Zen or Chan in Chinese. When hungry, eat. When thirsty, drink. When tired, sleep. And I like to say when horny, fuck, but that's just me being playful. I think, it's that easy. It's the original expression of simplicity. Think about it. You fulfill those things which need to be done, and then all else is left uninterfered with, right? Don't do those things which you don't need to do, right? So the way of Taoism is about cutting away the useless pursuits that do not directly serve your overarching goals of health, wealth, and longevity, and then leaving that to the side. We got some more consultations and tools, good stuff. Zeolite spray, bentonite clay, heavy metals, extract of bamboo fungus from my hand, blah, blah, blah. I don't really understand all that. A mythotherapist and a chiropractor. That sounds really good, though. Cupping and acupuncture, all really good stuff. Herbs and medicine are true magic. Oh, yeah, that's the absolute alchemy of the ancients. That's the way to get it done, man. That's good stuff. I really appreciate that they made such a contribution of wealth to humanity. And yeah, next slide, guys. So I thought about taking it a little bit further, right? And so I asked the questions. I ponder the idea. In order to overcome energy stagnation and cultivate oneself in a harmonious way, you could take the same Zen idea of when hungry, eat, when thirsty, drink, and when tired, sleep to the next level. When you're in need of generating ideas, how about going for a walk? All right, this might be an easy answer to a complicated problem. You've got the Gordian knot, whip out the sword, cut straight through it, right? You feel like you need to stimulate your energy a little bit and come up with some good productive energy for working. Just go for a short walk, 15, 20-minute walk out in the garden if you have one, or through the city streets, limit it to that, and then get back to your workspace and get at it, get cracking. And I'd like to hear your ideas in the comments below or in the chat box. What do you think about these 6 that I came up with here to share with you today? Number 2, 40 minutes. Wow, that's a big deal. I got told by my doctor you should do 2,000 steps, go for a walk, 40 minutes, 4,000 steps to release those endorphins, the happy thoughts. Oh yeah, I can release a shit ton of endorphins just by the fire breath in tantric yoga, right? So roll your head around a little bit, be gentle, obviously, in anything you practice, but the fire breath is one of the more powerful ones, and you just pant like a dog for 20 breaths, and then take a nice, deep, gentle, easy breath and hold it for a little while. Keep a good erect posture and be ready, right? Don't try this at home, right? Because you might pass out, but you'll get a charge of endorphins like you've never had before. So 21's more of a alchemical idea, right? So do that. Quick panting breaths like a dog, then a nice, gentle, deep, easy inhale and hold for 3, 2, 1, and then let it out. Whew. You're going to slightly black out when you do that, right? Obviously, kids used to play this one when they were young, and they'd squeeze each other once you hold your breath, and then it would make you hit hard. But you don't want to go that far. You just want to get a little bit of the taste. Yeah, so it doesn't even take that'll give you a brief release of endorphins and dopamine within the brain. But yeah, 40-minute walk is a more sustained one, so you won't get those highs and lows. But yeah, again, go easy on any qigong if you haven't trained in it. And be sitting down for that one, preferably in like a recliner, where if you do suddenly pass out, at least you're safe, right? So laid back in a recliner. I'll do it standing up when I'm practicing qigong 4 or 5 times, right? When I'm outdoors and doing a little kung fu, whenever I think I need a little blast to clear away the darkness of the prime material plane and draw back the veil, as it were, right? Number 2, when healthy exercise, I recommend movement arts in the Chinese tradition. Kung fu, walking is in fact a type of exercise, but you want to do strength training exercises here, right? Like maybe a little housework, lift some weights. Yeah, when lacking confidence, make your bed, wash your dishes. That's a form of strength training exercise, right? Do laundry. Tell me it doesn't fucking require every muscle in your body to get all the laundry done, all right? Number 3, when you need to increase energy levels, take a happy nap. I think of a happy nap as like 15 to 20 minutes. And 20 minutes and back to the happy thoughts. Yeah, good stuff. Good magic fools and tools. You know what's up. So you've probably come across a lot of this. I'll keep it up for a second, 20 minutes. And back to the happy thoughts. Yeah. Absolutely. You know exactly what I'm talking about here. Number 4, when ideas seem overwhelming, I would say engage of one of 2 activities here, either writing in your journal or drawing pictures, or both. Draw pictures in your journal and then write a little. I find the drawing of pictures, like doodles and stuff, and combined with writing, to put those ideas down in a way that I can easily organize them through like mind mapping and iconography, because everything is reducible essentially to symbols, right? And that's one of the great beauties in the Chinese language that really appealed to me when I was a young man. I saw talismans everywhere in the form of single characters, but a single character led to 10,000 ideas, right? And 10,000 ideas could be succinctly illustrated through a single word, right? Single ideas in Chinese. And then if you just use like 4 words or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5, it compounds infinitely, right? So all of the idioms that are encoded in those tetragrams, like the one for the fish one that we're studying here today, 鱼的快乐, or the fish attains happiness, is an example of that, right? And it immediately, the Chengyu Gushi, or an idiomatic story, immediately leads to a brief story that highlights the point and meaning of the idiom. And then that story really leads to just deeper understandings the further you analyze it and try to apply it in your life, right? So next time you're out, definitely see those happy fish, because they're everywhere. And that good energy, that good vibe, as it were, is contagious. And the happier you get, the happier things will be. Let's see, we got a couple more here. And any one of these particularly, if you have ideas on, please help me expand, opine, as it were. Leave a comment on the video. Yeah, I'll remind everyone before we do finish up here for today, to definitely check me out at buymeacoffee.com/Frank Moneypillow, something in the tip jar, right? www.imnotacriminal.com, all right? And do hit the like buttons, guys. That they say that helps. And if it's not too much trouble, leave a comment on the video. You can comment on some of these ideas, right? Do you have a 7, 8, 9, and 10 to add to this list, which is what we're going to get to next? But what do you think of the ones here? All right. Number 5 says, when you need to alleviate stress, engage in gentle breath work. So if you don't know this one, right, there's all kinds of different things you can do. The Golden Light Meditation, which I have a PDF document at buymeacoffee.com. And I think I got it up there for like $2 because I put work into it. I crafted it with my own mental energy and from lessons I learned, and mostly from memory, about what Master Nihua Qing, the way he told me how to meditate. Because every great guru out there has got his own style of meditation. So I kind of combined it with some of the more militant aspects of kung fu that I learned from the Xingyi Shifu. But I combined it with ideas from the Universal Society of the Integral Way to make a unique document. So the Golden Night Meditation over there at buymeacoffee.com/Frank Monday. A little something in the tip jar. Never hurt anybody, right? $2 never killed anybody. All right. And then finally, number 6, when you need better focus, do active meditation. Now, the Golden Light Meditation, which I do have on offer over there, is the kind of thing that will offer both, right? It's got both the gentle breath work and a good, solid amount of information to get you started, and then doing active guided meditation. It's all in there. So I wanted to pass this along to you, the dear listener, and ask some questions, right? Like, yeah, and Fools and Tools knows it. She says, right? Because last time I think I misgendered you, Fools and Tools, because that seems like a very masculine name to me. I because it I guess because it sounds somewhat combative, and I more typically think of the masculine as being like a little bit more taunting like that. And so it was a bit of a shock to me that the Fools and Tools turned out to be of the feminine, right? With a fiery nature, I guess, right? A little bit sassy. That's a little bit of a sassy handle. So I asked these specific questions, right, that I offer to you, dear viewer, to comment either here in the live chat or come on panel and we could talk about them, or you can leave them in the comments later on, right? Whoever you are, wherever you are, and whenever you may be receiving this transmission, check back often for future updates. But I wanted to know, what about when you get angry, right? What about when you're brought to anger and you're in a confrontation, right? The heat of summer has fired you up and you let it ignite your ire and you get into a bit of a street fight in the form of argument, or even scared, right? Like, imagine some of the situations these days where you're overwhelmed by an indomitable presence of what's going on in society today. Breathing for 3, hold for 6, and let out for 9. That's kind of an interesting one. That sounds very akin to some things we have in the Ume mountain technique called Ume Shenshu. But I won't get into that because that's advanced breath work, and it's only kind of meant for behind the scenes. Even the tantric fire breath I wouldn't recommend if you haven't had some training and had your health condition checked out and stuff like that, because again, active qigong needs some guidance. You just don't want to go about it in a wayward fashion. Wantonly approach it, right? Seek out people who practice already and train with them. What about in the event of an emergency, right? What about a situation where you're called on to provide charity? Say like a homeless person comes up to you and you never know, are they really needy or do they really want productive change? What's the situation? How do you let your discernment dictate whether or not you help out in situations like that? What about when you're made to do something you don't really want to do, right? But it serves the greater good. Like, you got to do those activities that participate in housework and family, and like washing dirty dishes, doing laundry, organizing things, doing work in order to get paid, for a job, that type of thing. Might not be what you absolutely want to do, but you got to do it, right? How would you apply these Zen ideas then? And what other scenarios do you think this adaptation of Zhuangzi's style of Tao, where can it fit in, right? Yeah, go out and touch grass. I like that. That's always a good idea. Fools and Tools. Release the heart when you're angry. Perfect. Beautiful. In your feet barefoot. Yeah. Discharge. Yeah, you got to discharge. That's really hard to do sometimes, to actually go out and touch earth with your feet. That's not an easy thing to do necessarily when you live in society, in a city. Yeah, reach out with a agape beloved awareness. And then I've got one final slide, guys. Then we can all head over to TML and check him out, guys. I got the banner for him right here. This kind of looks like TML, huh? Right here, this Zhuangzi quote. We'll finish off with this quote, guys, and I will thank all of you for being here. And I'll say a short prayer, the invocation of total integration, and then we'll just wander off into the abodes of the future. Unless somebody wants to come up and hold down the fort with old Frank Monday and get a little banter, and if not, right? Why should I trade an easy job for a hard job, right? Only a fool would do that. So I'll let TML hold down the live while I get over there and finish with this quote, guys. Oh yeah, I gave you the address right there if you want to find it. If you want to know where Frank Monday is going to be hanging out here in a few minutes. The effect of life in society is to complicate and confuse our existence, making us forget who we really are by causing us to become obsessed with what we are not. Yeah, I should have read that. Zhuangzi in a more oriental kind of wise guy fashion. Let me give it another go and check the feedback loop here on YouTube to make sure that my transmission is still coming through. Testing 1 2 3. Testing 1 2 3. Be like Zhuangzi, guys. Oh, perfect. And the feedback loop is shortened to like 2 seconds. Very interesting. The effect of life in society is to complicate and confuse our existence. The mind loves devious bypaths, whereas simplicity brings you back to center. By engaging in such deviation from truth, it makes us forget who we really are, by causing us to become obsessed with what we are not and what we cannot have, right? With what we are not and with that which we cannot have. Makes the soul greedy and desirous, right? For change and stuff like that. Pushing and pulling at the strings of life. Everybody, thank you to the beloved Zhuangzi for making an appearance here with us today and bringing forth the wisdom of the happy fish. Yeah, I'm just going to leave it there, man. I appreciate you stopping by, Fools and Tools, beloved. And I hope we can get some ideas on the video. I always ask if you guys could help me do your part, maybe to bring some folks to the show so that I can reach 1,000 subs, right? And if you do have the opportunity to check me out on buymeacoffee.com/Frank Monday, I'd really appreciate that. But if we get 1,000 subs, man, the show might start to finance itself. Wouldn't that be a thing, right? Wouldn't that be a thing? That'd be kind of fun. I'd like to do a little more of that. I'd like to do a daily show, an hour-long daily show, but I'm not going to have time as we go into the new academic school year. We just got lucky this time around. And with no further ado, the invocation of total integration. If you know it, say it with me, Wayfarer. It's going to be going up on the Buy Me a Coffee page soon so that you can learn it and other great invocations from the Universal Society of the Integral Way. Heaven and earth are the spontaneous manifestations of the subtle, wondrous universal law. As the original oneness expresses itself, gross and subtle energies become distinctly divided. Our bodily caves are brightly illuminated by the mysterious light from the three sources, our three Dantian bridge points leading to immortality. The powerful spirits of the 8 directions conjoin our being with the true origin of life. By the absolute order of the divine Ling Bao in the highest 9th heaven, send the positive energies of Qianluo, Dana, Dunkan, and Taishuan to destroy our spiritual obstacles and debilitate any evil influence. This order is given by the highest sovereignty. It is a jade oracle from the subtle origin. I invoke with strong sincerity to drive away the demons and evils and lengthen my healthy years. The attained spirits respond. The evil demon king Mo Wong is chained to stand as our guard and servant. The powerful atmosphere has been generated, dispersing all negativity and endless human opinion. The Chi of Tao is everlasting. So it is commanded and confirmed. So mote it be. Amen. Remember, O neophyte, goodness alone is power, silence is strength, will regaineth omnipotence, and love lieth at the foundation, because love is the law, love under will, and do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. Answer only unto the Lord thy God in all that you think, say, and do, and love and worship his beloved Son, Jesus. I appreciate you being here, Wayfarer, ad astra per aspera, as we wander into the abodes of the future. Carpe diem, and do good magic. Until next time, bye for now.